자, 그러면 이제 바로 앞전에 한 능력은 어떻게 나타날 수 있는가? 자, 이어서 계속합니다.
What then is loyalty? In simple terms, it is an unchanging heart, an undisturbed heart, or in other words, a sincere heart. If it changes and wavers, there is a problem with our faithfulness. Therefore, a faithful person is patient and a person of faith.
예. 그러니까 이 충성이란 무엇이냐? 변하지 않는 마음, 흔들리지 않는 마음, 진실한 마음입니다.
So, a simple term, it is unchanging heart, undisturbed heart, and sincere heart.
뭔가 변하고 흔들린다면 충성에 문제가 있는 거죠.
So, if you constantly change, then there is some problem, issues with being faithfulness.
그래서 충성스러운 사람은 인내하는 사람이요 믿음의 사람입니다.
So, the person who's faithful is a person of faith and patience.
예, 만약 거기 읽으세요. 예.
If someone has failed in God's work, it is not because of lack of ability or skill. The failure is due to a lack of faithfulness.
예. 저는 이게 만약에 우리가 일에 실패가 왔단 말이에요.
If you have tasted failures,
근데 거기에 능력이나 실력이 부족해서 한 게 아니라는 거죠.
it's not because you have lack of ability or skill.
충성이 부족해서 그렇다는 거예요.
It's because you lack faithfulness.
아, 저는 이 말에 엄청 위로를 받았습니다.
I was so comforted by this wording.
우리가 뭐만 하면 일이 잘 된다는 거예요.
So what should
충성만
we
하면
do in
된다는
order to face success?
우리가 능력이 부족할 수도
Faithful.
있고 실력이 부족할 수도 있어요.
We may lack skills, we may lack ability.
그런데 하나님이 충성만 하면 다 일이 실패하지 않게 만들어 주겠다는.
But God said everything will go well if you are being faithful.
아, 저는 이 말씀이 너무 위로가 됐어요.
So it was encouraging to me.
아, 충성만 하면 되는구나.
All I need to do is being faithful.
그러면 하나님이 해주시겠구나.
Then God will do it.
자, 예.
If we are faithful, unchanging, and patient, everyone can succeed. In Proverbs 25:13, it says that a faithful person refreshes the heart of their master. Proverbs 25:13, like the coolness of snow at harvest time, is a trustworthy messenger to those who send him. He refreshes the spirit of his masters. The reason is that God seeks faithful individuals, and why is faithfulness so crucial in doing the Lord's work? We can find the answer in 2 Corinthians 11:23 and the following verses. 2 Corinthians 11:23 says, "Are they servants of Christ? I am out of my mind to talk like this. I am more. I have
Yeah.
worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, and been exposed to death again and again."
예. 그런데 여기 보니까 이 충성된 사람들은 이 뭐냐면 주인의 마음을 시원케 한다고 그랬습니다.
So faithful person will it's like a refreshes the heart of their master.
충성된 사람을 하나님이 만나면 그 얼음 냉수와 같다는 거예요.
So if God sees a faithful person, it's like a very cool water that can fresh the soul.
왜 하나님께서는 충성된 사람을 찾느냐 했더니
Why is God seeking the faithful ones?
하나님의 일에 충성이 중요하기 때문에 그렇다고 나왔습니다.
Because the faithfulness is a crucial element in God's work.
자, 한번 계속 또 읽어보세요.
It records various hardships that Paul faced while doing the work of God. Even in the midst of all those difficulties, Paul persevered. Paul's faithfulness was that overcame those difficulties. In this way, the path of doing God's work is often a path of hardship with many obstacles. If so, then how can I know whether I am a faithful person or not? The most important thing is that a person faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Small things are significant tasks, things that go unnoticed by others, and tasks that people tend to ignore. In another expression, it would be without a name and without light.
예. 근데 왜 충성이 필요한가가 또 여기 나옵니다.
So why is it important to have faithfulness?
우리가 충성하다 보면요, 하나님의 일을 하다 보면 어려움이 많아요.
As we continue to work for the glory of God, there are many hardships and trials that we face along the way.
근데 그 어려움을 어떻게 우리가 극복할 수 있냐면 이 충성된 자들이 해야 극복을 할 수 있다는 거예요.
But the only way that we can overcome those hardships is only by the faithfulness ones.
바울이 엄청난 어려움이 많았죠.
So Apostle Paul have faced a lot of hardships in his life.
평상시 충성하는 훈련이 되어 있었던 거예요, 바울이.
And that he was trained to be faithful even in regular days.
그러니까 충성이 뭐라 하겠어요? 변하지 않는 마음이거든요.
So being faithfulness is having a heart of unchanging.
진실한 마음이라고
It's
했거든요.
a sincere heart.
그 하나님에 대한 진실함이 있으니까
And having the truthful and sincere heart towards God,
그 충성이 어려움을 이겨가게 하시더라.
that faithfulness led us to overcome the hardships that we face.
그리고 우리가 가장 중요한 것은 지극히 작은 것에 충성하는 것이 중요하다고 나옵니다.
And being faithful to the little things is very important.
이거를 다른 말로 표현하면 이름도 없이 빛도 없이다라고 표현합니다.
It's in other words, it's like without a name and without light, you serve the Lord till the end.
아, 내가 이만큼 충성했는데
You can't say, "Oh, I have been faithful this much."
알아주지도 않고
No one is going unrecognizing.
보상도 없고
There's no reward.
그러면 안 된다는 거예요.
You can't have that posture in your heart.
아, 제가 이게 사례비를 안 받고 이 강의를 하러 다녔지 않습니까?
So as I was going places to teach without receiving any salary,
오늘 어떤 분이 10,000원을 주는 거예요.
one day one person gave me $10.
나 10,000원 들고 덜덜 떨었습니다.
And I was shaking with that money in my hand.
왜냐하면 처음 받아보는 거거든요.
Because that was the first money that I have received
막
amongst the people that I
놀래가지고
taught.
10,000원 받고
I
막
was shocked.
덜덜 떨었어.
I was shaking.
근데 지금도 사실 뭐냐면 보상을 바라면 충성이 안 됩니다.
But even now, if you are looking for reward from the Lord and just do the work, then you cannot be
충성하는
faithful.
거예요.
You just become faithful without any condition added to it.
그러면 하나님이 알아서 다 역사하십니다.
Then God will do His work in His way.
그렇다고 우리가 보상을 안 받는다고 이 선교비가 없는 게 아닙니다.
So it's not like you will lack money to do His
하나님이요
work.
다 채워줍니다.
God will surely provide everything that you need in your ministry.
그런데 우리가 왜 이 보상을 바라지 않고 충성을 해야 되냐면
But the reason that we need to be faithful without wanting something back
그래야 충성할 기회가 더 생깁니다.
is so that that will open us more opportunity to be faithful to many.
제가 서울 남대문 시장 옷파는 데를 갔었습니다.
So I went to the Seoul with the south door.
길 가운데에 이 옷을 잔뜩 싸놓고 파는 사람들이 있었습니다.
And then near to that palace door gate, there were merchants who were piling up the clothes and sell it.
아 근데 어떤 데는 막 어떤 곳은 사람이 바글바글합니다.
And some places there are like packed with people.
근데 어떤 데 똑같은데 사람이 없습니다.
But some places there were no people.
그 왜 그런가 하고 제가 연구를
So
해봤습니다.
I was looking and observing what was going on.
근데 잘 팔리는 데는 뭐 막 파는다고 무슨 얘기를 똑같이 얘기를 합니다.
So the shop that was busy, the merchants, they were always like saying, many words.
근데 영적으로 어떻게 들리냐면요.
But those words that they were saying to sell clothes,
싸요, 싸요, 빨리 사요, 빨리 사요, 거저도 줍니다, 빨리 사요, 막 그러는 거예요.
they were saying, buy it, buy it, buy it now. It's a bargain, buy it now.
그런데 안 팔리는 쪽도 막 외치기는 합니다.
But even the other shops who had no customers, they were also saying the same thing.
근데 영적으로 들어보니까요.
But as I was interpreting that spiritually,
뭐라고 하냐면요. 안 팔아요, 안 팔아요, 안 팔아요.
I felt like they were talking, I'm not selling it to you, I'm not selling it to you, I'm not selling it to you.
그래서 안 팔린 걸 내가 알았어요.
So that's why I noticed the difference of the feel from each merchant.
놀라웠어요. 분명히 사는 사요, 사요 하는데 저 영적으로는 안 팔아요, 안 팔아요, 안 팔아요 막 그러고 있더라고요.
Because the person was still crying out those men, but like there was no customer.
아 이게 무슨 차이인가 생각을 했습니다.
And I was thinking deep into like, what's the difference between these
안
two
팔려 안 팔려
people?
하는 사람은 충성이 없더라고요.
Because the person who was saying those words meaningless didn't have faithfulness into the job that he has.
아 제가 어떤 식당에 가 보면요.
When I go to a restaurant,
들어가는 입구부터 그 주인이 뭐라고 하냐면 얘기를 않고 있는데도 말을 않고 있어도 얘기가 들려옵니다.
even if I didn't say much from the
아휴,
very beginning in front of the
징글맞고
store, I can hear this message.
뭐라고 하냐면 징글 맞아 죽겠다. 또 왔네, 또 왔네 그럽니다.
As the customer enters the restaurant, the owner goes, "Here goes again."
그런
More
집은
people.
장사가 안 됩니다.
Then you won't have success in your business.
근데 어떤 집에 가면은 말을 않고 있는데도 뭐라고 들려오냐면요.
But in other restaurant, the busy ones, if I enter into that restaurant,
아이고 감사하다. 아이고 감사하다. 손님 또 왔네. 또 왔네 그럽니다.
I can hear from their expressions of warm welcome, like, "Oh, there comes another customer. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming."
여러분들요. 영적인 귀를 조금만 열고 들어보면 그렇게 들립니다.
So
진짜.
if you really open your spiritual ears and try to hear what's actually engraved, then you can actually hear the
그
hidden
마음이
message.
충성입니다.
That heart is being faithful.
아 저는요 이렇게 가나안 나눔에 한 분이라도 오잖아요.
So even if one person comes to our Canaan's
아,
provision,
너무 감사한 거예요.
I'm so grateful.
그러니까 제가 2사람이든 3사람이 오면 내가 몇 시간이라도 할애해서 그분들을 섬겨 드리는 거예요.
So it doesn't matter how many people come. Even 2 people show up or even 3 people show up, with my very best, I teach them my
그게
lessons.
충성이라는 걸 알았기 때문에.
Because I realized that's being faithful.
아, 여러분들도 우리 충성합시다.
So let's be faithful, everybody.
아, 그래서 아주 그냥 손님들 많이 끕시다.
So let's have more. Let's attract more people to this ministry.
얼굴로는 어서 오십시오 하는데 빨리 가라 빨리 가라.
Some people say welcome. They outwardly they say welcome, but inside they're like, please go, please go.
그러니까 안 되는 거예요.
So that your business won't go well.
그게 아니라 귀한 분들인데.
But you have to treat every individual precious.
그게 충성이라니까.
That's being faithful.
예.
Before entrusting us with significant responsibilities, God always tests our faithfulness with small things. God entrusts those who pass the test with the ability to take on greater responsibilities. And through our faithfulness, God expands His kingdom. Even if entrusted with significant responsibilities, if faithfulness is lost, we lose God's power, ultimately leading to being set aside from God's service. This awareness was something Paul lived with constantly. Ultimately, a faithful person is someone who gives their best, whether it's a small or large task. Today, too, God is watching our faithfulness, truthfulness.
예. 그러니까 하나님은 우리를 계속 테스트합니다.
So God will continue to test us.
능력이 없나 있나를 테스트하는 것이 아니라
He's not testing us if we have the ability to do the task.
충성하고 있느냐.
He's testing us whether we are being faithful or not.
거기에 합격이 되면 하나님은 직분을 맡기십니다.
And if you pass the test, then He will give you a task.
아, 그래서 저는 이 사역이 열리는 거에 대해서 기도한 적이 사실은 없습니다.
That's why I have never prayed for the opening opportunity of ministry.
충성하면 열린다는 걸 저는 알았습니다.
Because I knew if I become faithful, then the opportunity will come.
그래서 바울도 그걸 알았기 때문에 충성을 했다는 거죠.
So Paul also knew this secret, so that's why he was being faithful.
예, 그래서 지금도 하나님은 충성된 자를 찾고 계십니다.
So that's why even today too, God is watching for faithful
자,
people.
우리 손을 한번 들으시고
Let's lift our hands.
하나님께 충성하자.
Let's be faithful to God.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
할렐루야.
Hallelujah.
자, 10분만 쉬었다 가겠습니다. 20분에 할게요. 예. 여자의 저주 이제 나가겠습니다.